So we just got some new trees from Rain Tree Nursery. We've been wanting to try these ones for a bit. We are going to be putting them in cardboard boxes. That way they have a little bit of a buffer till they get to the cold soil since they're bare root. We are going to be putting them in our hotbed soil. That way we don't have to get new potting soil.
Alright, this is Mike's. I used it on all my trees and I stopped having so many losses when I started to use it. It has good living organisms in it that you put directly on the roots of your plants. I have tried to plant chestnuts, black walnuts, hickory, all sorts of things in our property that are nuts. And so far they haven't made it. They come back from the root, but not really happy. So that's why I ordered these really teeny tiny ones. Is because I want to see if by putting them in these boxes in the basement and giving them a bit more of a head start, if they'll be happier. And I want to make sure that their roots can spread out as much as they need to the best of my ability. So I'm going to spread these little roots open so they're not trying to like roll around on each other. It's much easier to take something with small roots and do it right than it is to take something that has really big roots, especially in my soil, which is very rocky. It's pretty much just rocks. So you saw me put the inoculant on. I got this one root that really wants to come up and be up here and I want it down. Stay down, little root. I order all of my windbreak type trees from coldstreamfarm.net. And the reason I do that is because they're inexpensive. It's somewhere between like $1.50 and $5 per tree. And they're really good quality.
Yeah. What do you got? Did you see what he had?
What do you have?
I don't know.
Alright, so I don't want this to stay light and puffy. I want to make sure that there's good soil all the way around. I don't want to bury the plant past where the where it was originally planted though. So I'm just going to kind of push it down a little bit. Make sure it's upright. That should be enough, and then I'm just going to move it away until I feel like it's at the same level. So to all intents and purposes, this is like the plastic pot that you get at the nursery, except you can just plant the whole thing in the soil once you have it ready to go in the spring, or in our case, early summer. And when I do that, I dig a hole just a little bit bigger than this cardboard box, and I'll put rabbit manure in the bottom and on the sides. I'll put this guy in. I'll make sure that this is a little bit deeper than the flush level of the ground so that it has a depression for me to get water into. I don't want the dirt mounded, I want it depressed. And so I'll have a little bit of a bowl around this box in the actual dirt when I plant it. And that way it will retain water rather than shedding water. If I mound dirt up like this, it'll shed water. So that's what we're going to do. This one is a butternut. We're going to water it just a little bit and put it in the basement. Pawpaw, witch hazel, trumpet vine, black walnut, kudzu, white butternut, mulberries from my own trees, Russian mulberry, red mulberry. Okay, so I'm going to try and explain to you what everything is. This is cutting celery. It's an herb. Those tall ones over there are Arctic kiwi. All these really kind of bushier types. These are a mulberry. I have a grape that has not leafed out. We have Nanking cherries, fennel, more celery, a houseplant with a fig and a comfrey in it as well, several different kinds of basil, and I have some gooseberries in there that haven't started yet, and then those in there, I just clipped those yesterday. Some more gooseberries, stevia plant, lemon balm, and then a lot of figs mixed in. So, but there is a layer of newspaper in the bottom, a 1-inch layer of rabbit manure, and then the rest of this is good potting soil. The reason for the depth of the box is that pawpaws need a long, undisturbed taproot, which means if you put this in a pot and then you try to transplant once they're big, it'll most likely damage the taproot, which will kill the plant. So what I love to do with new types of plants, I live in a zone 4, which has a lot of cold weather. I like to buy inexpensive cuttings and inexpensive seeds and inexpensive seedlings, and I like to plant those and try out the variety. I'm not trying to have a big, beautiful, super expensive tree. I wanted to show you what I do when the bottom of one of my cardboard box gardens gives way. You can see I picked it up and the bottom actually started to fall out. So you can see I put them in another box, and I'm going to carry it out to the greenhouse because it doesn't really need to be in here right now. I had somebody ask if I don't use the boxes anymore, and well, I'll explain myself. Yes, I use the boxes. See that? That's a box. And that's a, well, you can't really see it. That's a box. Now, I'll show you over here, and this will make more sense to you. One of the main reasons I like to use the cardboard boxes with the sheep's wool and the rabbit manure at the bottom is I can start them in my windows, and a lot of them have a deep taproot, or the medicinal part of it is the root. You don't want to mess with that root. So I'll start them in the boxes that will then become their permanent home. And then I bring them out to their permanent home. I set them down. I push some mulch up around them so that they're in good contact with everything. And then I continue to water them in the box. And what happens is that the weeds can't get through that bottom of the box. The weeds can't get through. And so it gives my perennials a huge head start. And it means I don't have to weed them. But that used to be a box. That used to be a cardboard box that has now disintegrated and become one with the soil.
She's a praying mantis. I named her praying because every time they tuck up their arms, they look like they're praying, and she's huge.
And the reason why I screamed was a curly piece of straw I hooked onto my toe, and I thought it was a grasshopper, and grasshoppers do sticky things, and it is not comfortable. It scares me. That's why.
That is a huge.
That is why I'm
So after finding her in the front yard, we brought her out to the greenhouse.
Yeah, we plucked off a piece of grass she was on, and I kept on switching because she kept on going towards my hand, and I wasn't ready for her to get on my hand. Then when we got in here, I put her on my hand, and she did all right.
Put on my hand.
Okay.
So here we are, late September, and the greenhouse is still 75 and 80 degrees. Look at that beautiful tomatoes. It's going to be a shame that we won't be here, but
there's lots of them.
Food is getting eaten for sure.
And we're glad the bad bugs are being eaten too.
I think she's eating some right now.